Well, hello guys. Woo, that's So, we will get started so that we can get to everyone's books. What we're going to do is Harriet is going to do a reading out of the book, a fairly short one, and then we're going to do a short Q&A, and then we'll get into the signing. And right after the Q&A, I'll have a few announcements and things about how we're going to do this. But we'll just let Harriet go ahead and start with the reading, assuming she can find the place. She's reading what a fan at the last event asked for a reading to be, so you're getting the benefit of what they asked for.
Hi. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see you. And I will tell you that I intend to chew the scenery. The creature that had once been Pad and Fane walked down the side of a hill. The brown weeds grew in broken patches like the scrub on the chin of a beggar. The sky was black, a tempest. He liked that, though he hated the one who caused it. Hatred, it was the proof that he still lived, the one emotion left. The only emotion, it was all that there could be. Consuming, thrilling, beautiful, warming, violent, hatred, wonderful. It was the storm that gave him strength, the purpose that drove him. Althor would die by his hand, and perhaps after that, the Dark One. Wonderful. The creature that had been Pad and Fane fingered his beautiful dagger, feeling the ridges of the designs in the fine golden wire that wrapped its hilt. A large ruby capped the end of its hilt, and he carried the weapon unsheathed in his right hand, so that the blade extended between his first two fingers. The sides of those fingers had been cut 12 times over. Blood dripped from the tip of the dagger down onto the weeds, crimson spots to cheer him. Red above, red below, black above. Perfect. Did his hatred cause that storm? It must be so, yes. The drops of blood fell alongside spots of darkness that appeared on dead leaves and stems as he moved farther north into the blight. He was mad. That was good. You saw nothing. That was not the droid you want. He was mad. That was good. When you accepted madness into yourself, embraced it and drank it in as if it were sunlight or water or the air itself, it became another part of you, like a hand or an eye. You could see by madness. You could hold things with madness. It was wonderful, liberating. He was finally free. The creature that had been Mordeth reached the bottom of the hill and did not look back at the large purplish mass that he'd left atop it. Worms were very messy to kill the right way, but some things needed to be done the right way. It was the principle of the thing. Mist had begun to trail him, creeping from the ground. Was that mist his madness, or was it his hatred? It was so familiar. It twisted around his ankles and licked at his heels. Something peeked around a hillside nearby, then ducked back. Worms died loudly. Worms did everything loudly. A pack of worms could destroy an entire legion. When you heard them, you went the other way, quickly. But then it could be advantageous to send scouts to go judge the direction of the pack, lest you continue on and run across it again elsewhere. So the creature that had been Pad and Fane was not surprised when he rounded the hillside and found a nervous group of Trollocs there, a Myrddraal guiding them. He smiled. My friends, it had been too long. It took a moment for their brutish brains to come to the obvious but false conclusion. If a man was wandering around, then worms couldn't be near. Those would have smelled his blood and come for him. Worms preferred humans over Trollocs. That made sense. The creature that had been Mordeth had tasted both, and Trolloc flesh had little to recommend it. This rings very true to people who are on book tour. The Trollocs tore forward in a mismatched pack. Feathers, beaks, claws, teeth, tusks. The creature that had been feigned stood still, licking his unshod feet. How wonderful! At the very back of the group, the Myrdral hesitated, its eyeless gaze fixed on him. Perhaps it sensed that something was terribly, terribly wrong. And right, of course. You couldn't be one without the other. That wouldn't make sense. The creature that had been Mordeth, he would need a new name soon, smiled deeply. The Myrdral turned to run away. The mist struck. It rolled over the Trollocs, moving quickly, like the tentacles of a leviathan in the arid ocean. Lengths of it snapped forward through Trolloc chests. One long rope whipped above their heads, then shot forward in a blur, taking the fade in the neck. The Trollocs screamed, dropping, spasming. Their hair fell out in patches, and their skin began to boil. Blood, blisters, and cysts. When those popped, they left crater-like pocks in the shadow-spawned skin, like bubbles on the surface of metal that cooled too quickly. The creature that had been Padan Thane opened his mouth in glee, closing his eyes to the tumultuous black sky, and raising his face, lips parted, enjoying his feast. After it passed, he sighed, holding his dagger tighter, cutting his flesh. Red below, black above, red and black, so much red and black. Wonderful. He walked on through the blight. The corrupted Trollocs climbed to their feet behind him, lurching into motion, spittle dropping from their lips. Their eyes had grown sluggish and dull, but when he desired it, they would respond with a frenzied battle lust that would surpass what they had known in life. He left the Myrdral. It would not rise, as rumors said they did. His touch now brought instant death to one of its kind. Pity. He had a few nails he might otherwise have put to good use. Perhaps he should get some gloves. But if he did, he couldn't cut his hand. What a problem. No matter. Onward. The time had come to kill Althor. It saddened him that the hunt must end, but there was no longer a reason for a hunt. You didn't hunt something when you knew exactly where it was going to be. You merely showed up to meet it. Like an old friend, a dear, beloved old friend that you were going to stab through the eye, open up the gut, and consume by handfuls while drinking his blood. That was the proper way to treat friends. It was an honor. Thank you.
Okay, now we're doing a Q&A. So, I will call on you. You can address questions at either of us. And oh, you are so excited, sir. Go for it. Yes, in the black.
This is a question I think only Harriet can answer.
Okay.
But I may be wrong.
Yeah, say it. I'll repeat it so everyone can hear it, and then I'll give the
I'm reading something by a very learned chap on the internet who knows a lot about A World of Time, who's showing me subtext and mythological themes that I never even saw in it. But he's of the opinion that Jim wrote The Great Hunt first and The Eye of the World second, and then The Dragon Reborn. It was originally a trilogy and he broke it all up. I don't believe that.
Oh, let me repeat the question. The question is, he's heard that The Great Hunt was actually written first, and then Eye of the World, and then The Dragon Reborn, and he wants to know if that is truth or rumor.
It's rumor, not truth. He worked on the Eye of the World. They came in order. He did work on the Eye of the World for 4 years before he ever gave me any of it. And while he was writing The Great Hunt, he and I went out to lunch in the neighborhood deli, and he asked me what I thought the child-rearing practices of this desert people he had in mind, what they would be like. And if you remember, I mean, we just saw the first Aiel in the cage, but he was already working. Howard Rand had been brought up, you see. So he worked very far ahead in his thinking. but there wasn't, the way he wrote them was the way they were published.